Hey everybody, welcome back. We are talking about CSS3 today and how we can use it, what is possible now, all that good stuff. Now, CSS3 is the next specification that's going to be defined with cascading style sheets. And it's quite a departure from what we've seen in the past. It allows all kinds of cool things. We can now do border radiuses for making buttons. We can do gradients. We can do drop shadows for text. We can support alpha channels, all these awesome things that we can do now. And what you have to understand, though, as we go into this is that CSS3 is not an official specification yet. It's being considered. It's in proposal. And so really what you're going to be dealing with is a lot of like workarounds for things at this point. But is it okay to start taking advantage of some of these things? Well, absolutely. And there's a couple things you just need to remember. And I think that, I have a website up here that really describes this best. And this website, this is the longest URL I've ever seen. But the URL on this is, do websites need to be experienced exactly the same in every browser.com? So anyway, type that into your browser and this is what you get. I get the word nope. And at first you realize, okay, well, that's obviously kind of snarky. But if I mouse over the nope, I get this beautiful transition with an interesting graphic behind it and all this cool stuff. And when I mouse back over, it goes away. Now, this changes with every browser you view this in. So you might want to try viewing this in different browsers to see what happens. But it's quite interesting. And, when I hover over here, you'll see that we not only get a graphic that slides down in the background, but I get a transition that gives me kind of a gradient, white, opaque background that you can kind of see through. It's semi-transparent. And the whole point of this website is to tell you that it does not matter. They do not need to be experienced the same in every browser and probably won't be at this point. In the past, a lot of times to create some of these effects, obviously we needed to do for drop shadows and radiuses and stuff like that. It was a combination, especially with hovers, of making graphics in Photoshop and then using JavaScript to make this happen. So it was a lot of work. And now CSS3 is bringing that down. But until this is an official spec, it's a little dodgy. You are going to have clients, if you're doing this professionally at some point, that are real picky about older browsers, and they do feel like it should be experienced the same in every browser. And unfortunately, if you're dealing with that kind of mentality, you're going to have to go back and use older techniques to do a lot of this. But as far as progressive, forward-thinking web design goes, you don't. And I think that's important to understand, is that you don't. As long as the visual, as long as the information doesn't hinge on the visual content, you're okay. So it could look slightly different, but as long as the content's still there, the functionality is still there, you're okay. So what we're going to do is kind of dive in, and I want to talk about some new concepts in the next couple movies that kind of deal with CSS3 and some things you need to know as you're getting started. So anyway, let's move right on into the next movie.